Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. The Russians are very busy bees in Black Sea. In the Black Sea, and not swimming but using their military ships, and they come in, they get out. I don't kind of know what's going on over there. I understand that being static would expose you to attacks, but on the other hand, I'm paying too much attention, I would say, to the ships, armed ships, warships, the Russian warships that are just going from Mediterranean into the Black Sea, Sea of Azov, these three seas over there, and the Russians continuously change their capabilities with the Kalibr missile standby, ready, whatever warships. In this case, I got an update on what's going on in the Black Sea, and this comes from a Ukrainian media outlet. It's coming from December 2nd, 2022. Russian ships armed with 12 Kalibr cruise missiles sail to Black Sea. So do you think that should be concerning for Ukraine? I think that should be. I mean, imagine you are in your home and you see people over there going around and they're all armed. And you see like they're coming with 12 guns. Should you be concerned? Well, you're not going to tell me, it's okay. Yesterday there were like 50 guns over there. Now it's only 12. It's still a concern, I would guess. But anyway, let's see how the Ukrainians are looking at this. Vitaly Kim, head of Mykolaiv Oblast military administration, has reported that the Russian ships armed with 12 Kalibr cruise missiles are on their way to the sea. And I'm quoting, "Russian pathetic attempts to demonstrate they are fine. Put a lot of vessel with only 12 Kalibr on board." So this is what this guy says. Well, Russian pathetic attempts to demonstrate they are fine. Put a lot of vessels with only 12 calibers on board. Well, it's a beautiful image, but practically of no use, he says. Well, what do you think? Well, I would take this one as being a good statement only if my intention would be to say, I don't care, man, I'm strong, and that's not going to intimidate me. If that's the intention, that's good one, and I would take it and I applaud it. But in reality, I should be concerned because 12 Kalibr missiles means 12 strikes. Now you can parry some of those 12 strikes or none, and they would cause damage. So I think it should be a little bit of concern, if you know what I mean. So let's go and read further here. At the same time, representatives of the Ukrainian army have noticed on air of the 24/7 joint national newscast that the Russians are preparing for a large missile attack and accumulating missiles. It could mean a potential salvo of 100 and more missiles fired on Ukraine. Well, weekend is coming, so the fireworks must be ignited, I guess. They've been saying this for the past about 4 or 5 days. Zelensky came and said the Russians are getting ready for a massive missile attack on Ukraine and so on. On the other hand, you hear that the Russians are running out of missiles. And they say, well, maybe they have 3 or 4 more massive attacks that they could employ. Then you hear them say, here, them being the so-called intelligence services of Great Britain and Ukraine now. The Americans are keeping their mouth shut for now. And they say, well, the Russians are running out. They're almost done with Kalibr. They're almost done with Iskander. They're almost done with whatever. They use Soviet-style rockets and old S-300 missiles. And oh my God, they're done. And on the other hand, they tell us, they're getting ready for more. There's going to be more. Well, this is war. Do I agree with that? Well, I hope that this thing ends yesterday, but unfortunately it will not, because Russia is not kneeled. So since Russia is not kneeled, the other ones are still providing firepower for these guys to be killed by Russia and killed Russians. The things are, for some things go according to plan. And I'm not talking about the Russians here, or the Ukrainians. I'm talking about other interests. That all this goes according to plan even though it takes longer, I think, by these guys' calculations as it goes for the Russians' calculations. I think the Russians calculated that this thing will not drag for 10 months or so. I really think that that's the reality. I think that it would have happened if it would have been Ukraine or Russia versus Ukraine. But since it's Russia versus 50 other countries, you know what I mean? Then this is gonna go. You're gonna extend the time. On the other hand, the other ones, I think that they thought Russia will collapse sooner, and they're not. And winter is here. Now, after winter, I don't know what's going to happen. Remember, Russia, I think, did not employ its full force whatsoever. They say, well, it's a total war, or it's all war. It's not all war. It's a calculated war. It is a determined war. It has very many rules, like you can't hit there. Ukrainians are told, we're not going to give you weapons so you can hit there. The Russians are not using this. The Russians are not flooding certain kind of cities. You know, the Russians did not attack the infrastructure as they do now until those guys attacked the Kerch Bridge. And the Russian told the Ukrainians, I'm not saying that's good, but they warned them, if you attack our infrastructure, which is a bridge, okay, between Crimea and main Russia, they said, we're going to fuck you up. And these guys did it, according to the Russians. Now, was it a false flag operation? I don't know. They don't know. The Russians said, well, you did it. We're not going to wait here 5 years to determine who did it. You did it. We already investigated. So we're going to fuck you up, which they do. Is that a good thing? No, but did they warn you? They did. You commit a crime, I'm going to commit 10 crimes. Basically. Why? Because that's going to make you obviously avoid doing that again in the future. You do that, I'm doing this. And good or bad, the Russians were, consistent. They were consistent in their actions. That is, they when they say something, hey, we're going to do this to you, they did it. Good or bad. Good or bad. So they said, I'm going to punch you in the face if you do this, and you did it, they punch you in the face. If they say, I'm going to give you $1 for if you do this, and you do this, they give you $1. So they should by now know, but it seems like they didn't care. Why? Because that escalates things. Who would profit from escalation? A lot of people would profit, and many people will die, unfortunately, and will be negatively affected by this destroy of the infrastructure, destroying blowing up actually the Ukrainian infrastructure, the energy infrastructure. A lot of people are affected, obviously negatively, but there are others that are celebrating that. Who? The weapon manufacturer companies, they are celebrating. The politicians who say, okay, that's good, that means that we can keep supporting it because look what they're doing. Others are also celebrating, see, we proved, this proof that these guys are criminals and all that. That's the evidence right here. So call them a terrorist state, call them this, call them that. So a lot of people worked in their interest. So that's unfortunate, but what can you do? Can you stop the war? They can, but I think it's too many interests, in all this, and it's not up to the Russians. I mean, Russians can say, okay, we're gonna just, how should I put it? Ask for peace, unconditional peace, and you can do whatever you want with us, and the war will end tomorrow. But the same is true for the other ones. All this could have been avoided if they had implemented the Minsk agreements in 2014 and 2015. But again, interest, and they did not want that to be implemented. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.